Okay, welcome to Podcast Malawi on a Tuesday as usual. And today it's a very big day because we've got a very special guest. When I say special, I mean it by every letter in the word special. Today, ladies and gentlemen, and the podcast community, we've got one of our biggest fans, I should say. Because how do you know that somebody's your fan? I say for you to say, okay, that's my big fan. How do you know,
Oh
Mike?
man, maybe you talk about them often.
Often, right?
Yeah.
At carry on. Your fans, you always talk about them. Probably for me, I think your fans will support you. That's what I know. Yeah. And for somebody who supports this podcast, that means they believe in our vision, they believe in the stuff that we talk about here. So today we've got Mr. Gray Jabez,
Yes, sir.
all the way from Dubai, Brazil, America, South Africa. Well, I don't know. I don't know where you stay. I see you like all over the world, just like that, right?
Yeah, man. It's like I believe that these days you need to have multiple residences. So I have a few residences in a few countries,
Okay.
but from a tax perspective, I'm a Dubai resident. So
So that's where your tax and everything is
yeah,
sorted.
yeah, exactly. Because you have no income tax there and all that. So as a tax resident, exactly,
No income tax.
no income tax, bro. Zero income tax. So then I have multiple residences, and then I can be in other places also. Which obviously just like jurisdiction or arbitrage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. So for those that are wondering, who is Gray Jabez? Gray is the founder of Crypto University, right?
Correct. Yes.
Okay. So if you watch this podcast, you know how we open this podcast all the times. This podcast is sponsored by Crypto University. If you want to know how to trade in cryptos, NFTs, coins, I know a lot of people have been asking, oh, what are these and what not? So I think today we've got an opportunity to actually learn and understand the whole world of crypto and whatnot. For those of you that have registered and signed up through Crypto University .network, you probably are learning how this is done. But today we're gonna break it down like really to the basics so people can understand what crypto is and how it works, how can people make money, because I'm sure you're making a lot of money, bro.
Yeah, like right now we more at Crypto University. Like I just came back from Zambia, and also we're in a new year, so our focus is trying to now crypto. I understand that it's a little bit too difficult for people to grasp the concept so quickly because you know they spend 12 years minimum being indoctrinated into this system of how money works.
Money works, yeah.
So I realize that we cannot expect them to basically unlearn all that learning that they have done, even though most of it is BS, in my opinion, within just a year of new information
Yeah.
or just online telling them something. So our focus now in Crypto University this year is to basically help people to become self-employed online. So we have expanded our offering. We teaching people on AI. Like AI has become a big thing.
Mhm.
We have AI training now. We're educating people on content creation and content repurposing, and also how to start to position yourself online, start your own business, become a freelancer. Because in this day and age, I believe that nobody can be unemployed. You cannot.
Absolutely.
It's illegal in my eyes to say that you're unemployed
Mm.
if you know how to use the internet, right?
Yeah.
So our focus now is to get as many people as possible online, especially in Africa.
Okay.
Yeah.
When you speak like this, I know a lot of people that are like already watching. They're like, oh, who's that guy? Where's he from? Oh, probably this guy is from Podcast Malawi. Looped in some guy from South Africa is here to teach us about crypto. Those scammers and whatnot.
Yeah.
Tell us, who is Great Jabez?
Yeah, a lot of people think I'm some kind of a rich kid or a trust fund baby or some scam, right?
Mhm.
So, but I'm from Area 25, not far from where we're sitting right now
Is-
originally.
Yeah, 5 minutes, not even 5 minutes drive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where I grew up, like this area we're sitting in, this area was like the luxury part of town, right? Like we're
Yeah,
like,
for
oh,
Gulliver.
you can't even live there. Because I went at Padre Pio for like a year until we couldn't afford it anymore. So
Oh, just here.
yeah. I
Okay.
did like 1 year, I think, if not less. I did it there, but it was too expensive for us because I had to with the whole transport thing. minibus every
25.
day, 25 to come here and all that. So yeah. So but I'm from area 25. That's basically where my foundation started, and got into this whole online thing. I mean, I did a documentary on YouTube for people who haven't seen it.
Okay.
Yeah. So I left Malawi when I was 16, 17, because my parents moved to South Africa, moved out of Malawi on a cargo truck, went to South Africa. It took me about
first.
2 weeks on that trip. And then yeah, in South Africa I was grinding like any, you hear all these things that people go to South Africa, they work in a garden for 1 year. Yeah. That's what I was doing.
You worked in the garden?
Yeah.
For real?
Straight up. Yeah. I worked in the garden. I worked at the laundromat. Dude, I did like all the weird things. Because when we arrived there, we stayed in an area called Delft,
Deaf. Oh, okay.
right? It's literally next to Kailicha. Kailicha is the murder capital of Cape Town, or South Africa, right? So when I was moving there, you watch Generations and all this stuff. You're like, I had ideas of what South Africa was going to be like, but I realized it was actually worse
Than
in
what
terms
you
of the area that we were living in. It's in 25 is not pretty, it's poor as fuck as well. But like in South Africa, it's like now people kill each other. So I was like, God damn, man, I'm in this area where at 6 o'clock, you don't want to be walking around in the streets.
Kaili, so which side of South Africa is this? Is
That's
it
Cape Town.
Cape Town, right?
Yeah, Cape Town is the most dangerous part of South Africa, even though statistically,
Yeah.
even though Johannesburg,
It's
it's
like
wild,
brought out because I think it's the capital
and
or
also the
something, right?
population
Yeah.
numbers. Yeah, but like statistically, Cape Town is much more dangerous.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you stayed in Cape Town.
Yeah, I stayed in Cape Town for a long time. Basically, I moved to South Africa, Cape Town. That's where I started to figure things out, and until I taught myself a few computer skills. We were doing stuff here. I was like trying to get into music. I was friends with like Janta,
Yeah, I heard that.
all that whole crew.
What's Sungununu
Sungunu,
crew?
yeah. Those guys were like they were like the originators of a small revolutionary generation of young people that were trying to find a new pathway, because at that time there were all this traditional stuff, but then at that time, like Janta was taking the whole music and production thing seriously.
Yeah.
They had like high aspirations. Airsim was trying to get the whole video production rate to the top, right?
Yeah.
And I think this they were learning some of it from physics, actually. So there's like physics, and there was like Airsim and the whole crew, Singleton crew, and Goa, and then it was us who were following and looking at learning about. I mean, the first computer program, the Photoshop computer program that I had, I got it from Janta, for example, right?
Okay.
Yeah. So it was, man.
Wow.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, because I actually remember now. I think those guys actually were, if I'm not mistaken, I think they were one of the first guys from Malawi that had a song on Channel O with Isungunun. I don't know which one came first between Take Green and them, but they were like the people that we didn't really know that time, but they had a song playing on Channel O that time, like back in the days. It was like Sungunun is like, that's later on we realized, there was like Janta, Slim, Go, and all these guys. Like, did very dope productions back in the days.
If you watch the old Sungunun videos, you'll see me there.
As I'm asking you, I'm thinking like I might have seen his face like in some of those videos there.
Yeah, probably have seen me. So that those are my homies, man. Like I was learning from them, and there was a lot of inspiration around. Like everybody was trying to really do something. Dope,
yeah.
So it was that kind of generation. I hope that mission continues. And some of those, like when I was learning graphic design, for example, it wasn't really a big thing here, but now there's kind of an industry now.
Yeah,
you can be a graphic designer.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I took those skills and I had a little bit of foundation. I had too much confidence because we had no competition here. So when I went to South, I was like, dang, man, I basically don't know anything.
Yeah.
So I had to learn again. And then I also took on programming to develop websites. And somehow I ended up, finding my way through that. Like I started my own little company. I would get gigs online every now and then. I was living in these dangerous areas. And then I would work in town doing small gigs and lie about where I live, because the moment you say that you're from Delft, Nobody
Like,
want to touch you or allow you in the office, right?
It's like a person who comes from Nigeria now. Like people don't want to hire them online.
Yeah, so I,
it
I hire a
feels.
lot of Nigerians. They're my favorite people in the world. And it happens when I'm talking to them on Reddit, right? They'll typically lie about where they're coming from because there is a bias against them. So you may find someone
Yeah.
who's brilliant and they're like, oh, I'm in this place. But I'm like, so what I like to do when I'm interviewing a Nigerian online, I ask them, what is your time zone? Because if you tell them where you're from, they're not
They're
going to
not going
tell
to
you.
tell you.
So I would know where they're more likely from, but if they tell me the time zone, right? So that's a trick for those who hire
I
me.
see.
Okay,
I
that's
see.
a good one.
I
Yeah,
see.
yeah, exactly.
I see.
you,
Okay.
you don't struggle with where are you? You're like, what's the time zone?
What's your time zone,
And
right?
you
So
actually know, like,
yeah,
this
so
person
this
should
time
know.
zone, I can start to average it out, and then I'll find other. I can connect the dots and be like, okay, he's from Nigeria, because you don't want to confront. You don't want to be too confrontational
Confrontational, yeah.
because I understand the struggle. It's like me living in Kailicha or in Delft in South Africa,
Mm.
and then you're working at someone. You want to work at someone's home or in some company. They're like, we don't want this guy in our office, right?
Mm.
Because they have a perception about people who come from those areas.
Okay. And so you're doing your online gigs and whatnot. How did you now break into this side now of online work where you now start exploring crypto and all that? Was the
So it's a funny story, right? So I was grinding all these little things, but because I have no qualifications, and you would see that I'll go to the companies and they'll be like, "Oh, you're not qualified, right? We want some. What's your qualification?"
yeah.
Or at least the way I understood things or I understand things might not fit the traditional framework of all the regulations that they have about doing anything,
Mm.
really. So I had the skills, but it was so difficult to break through. And I also didn't have a bank account because for you to open a bank account, you need proof of income
Okay, yeah.
of some way. So the system, basically how it works in the rest of the world, is that you need to have a master. Everyone is a slave. You need a master.
Mm.
So for you to be approved in this system, you need to be like, this is my master, mentioning some big company or whatever.
Yeah.
It's the same with visas. Like I get denied a European visa all the time simply because I don't have a master. And the Europe doesn't like black guys like me who have no master, right? They don't get it. Like, okay, are you? They're like, oh, if we allow you to our country, you're gonna
What's-
stay. I'm like, bro, like, I'm not gonna go there to pay you all the taxes, right? I'd rather be in Dubai. I don't want to be in Europe. But so it was the same kind of mentality with the banks, no account, nothing. Then I would go online and find an opportunity. Somebody say, "Oh, I'll pay you $30. Just do this, and that." I'm like, "Okay, cool, I can do it."
Mm.
When it comes to pay, how am I going to pay you? I would start mentioning things like Western
Western
Union.
Union.
These guys there in Australia, they've never heard of Western Union. They have never needed to use it,
Yeah.
right? And then they're like, "Oh, what about a bank?" I have no bank account. Then I would even feel embarrassed to say it. And if I say, "Oh, I don't have a bank account," mute. You never hear from them again, right? Because they just don't understand it. PayPal, like at that time, PayPal doesn't, even to this day, PayPal is not fully integrated here.
No.
Right?
It's actually the biggest challenge when it comes to payments here.
Exactly. I call it economic apartheid, right? Whereas some of us are segregated from the international global monetary system.
Yeah.
So I was basically done in their eyes, in the eyes of the system, until I came across Bitcoin because somebody said, I can pay you in Bitcoin. I'm like, oh, that sounds kind of interesting. And before then, I had seen an AMA on Reddit where Bill Gates used to go. Well, an AMA is basically ask me anything. So you can
Okay.
go on Reddit and say, oh, my name is this, and that. Ask me anything. And Bill Gates had one now, it's probably 10 years ago. And people were asking him about Bitcoin. And that's when I basically first came across it. And when these guys online, they're like, we can pay you in Bitcoin. I had already bought for the first time after the whole Bill Gates AMA thing. Then I was like, oh, this thing is
Yes, I
actually
know
very
this.
useful. Yeah. Yeah. So since then, I just never came back because all those Bitcoins I wasn't selling, I was just holding on to it. And by the time 2017 came, it became a lot of, well, because I didn't have a bank account to begin with. So I just became like, I was making already money doing gigs to basically pay
Pay
for
renters and
the
stuff.
rentals and all that. But all the Bitcoin money for me, it was kind of semi-real. It was real on one side because I was a nerd anyway. But on the other side, it was like, oh, it's also not real. It's not real money. It's almost like I like to tell people, if you want to save money, save it in a currency that you can destroy. right? So it was that kind of thing where I'm just keeping it. I would sell it a little bit just to test the waters. And then when I tested the first transaction, I realized that people were paying me even at a higher rate because the supply of BTC then was very low.
Oh yeah. So
Yeah.
you were getting a lot of money because it was like it wasn't worthy that amount that much that time.
So let's say one Bitcoin is, let's say, $300. Someone would offer you to pay 320 because there's not many people who could sell Bitcoin.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it wasn't that much of highly available, which turned out to be eventually became my business now to do
The
arbitrage trading.
transaction.
Yeah.
But okay, I just need to know what's up because yes, we're talking about the newer transition to Bitcoin right now,
Yeah.
which is more like a revolutionary transition.
Yeah.
But what are some of the crazy stories you can talk about your time when you were struggling in SA? Crazy stories.
Yo, man, crazy stories are like this. Like, whenever, so because I lied about which area I lived in, I would tell these employees that I live in Woodstock. Woodstock is another area around the Cape Town, close to Cape Town CBD. It's in town,
Yeah.
kind of safe, right? So they're like, okay, no problem. So I would find a little gig, something, and it would take would finish up until 10 p.m. to do it. And now after that, I need to go and deal with my reality of, okay, how do I get
home?
Right? And I need to get back to work at 7 a.m. Right? So I would go to the Cape Town in town with the taxi rank, get a taxi. These ones that would you would pay a little extra, but because there were so many people in the same situation who are like waitresses in different extreme, powerful luxury restaurants, those people, they would work in the waterfront or in Cape Town CBD, but they actually live in the hood. So at night, you would wait until the minibus is full with all these people coming from different work jobs, and then they would be dropping you one by one at your home, but you pay extra. Sometimes you might find them, sometimes you might not. If you don't have enough money, you would just take a normal taxi that is going to drop you at a normal stage. Then I would have to run from the stage to my home because you basically have what you might just get robbed. And it was so usual, like you would just get robbed, people would lose cell phones or whatever. So if I finish at that time, I would leave my cell phone at work.
Whoa.
So that I can be like, oh, if these guys attack me, I have
nothing.
Yeah.
Serious?
Bro, yeah, serious. Because after 6, if I remember in Delft, if I would go to a normal little Somali store, because the Somalians there, they basically they run all the little shops.
Yeah.
I would go, if you go by the Somali store, you're trying to buy bread, there's a guy there who's chilling, and he just do you have 2 bobs? Like 2, he's asking for money, basically.
Yeah.
Right? And you would have to deal with, are you going to give him or are you not going to do it? If you give him, if let's say you have a lot of money in the pocket, you've pulled it out and he sees it, it's a risk. So it was kind of like always you watching yourself, you have a chip on your shoulder, like, okay, what am I to do? I don't want to do something wrong. On top of that, you're a foreigner, you don't speak the language.
That's the thing.
That well.
Yeah.
That was the issue because
Yes.
I was thinking you are there, you're not a native.
Yes.
Your language is different. Yes, you can do a bit of hello in their language.
Yes.
But you can't speak their language.
Uh-huh.
How do people survive there, man? Like,
some people speak the language. Some people just move on with it. And this is what I see that's wrong with, which is a problem, in my perspective, with immigration. When you go to a new place, I think it's very important for you to blend in some way. But what happens in South Africa is that all the foreign nationals, they arrive and they try to maintain the same communities that they moved with back home.
Yeah.
So you go in Kailicha, you find a little Malawi community, Nigerian community, Congolese community. And I think this is part of what creates the problem because they don't easily interact with the locals as much. So there's always a line between. I think if there was a little bit more blend, things would have been easier. Like how it happens, say, when you go to the UK, you kind of lose track of who is who a little bit, right? But the whole separation method, I think, makes things a little bit difficult. I mean, I was lucky because I didn't really care. I made friends with a lot of locals. And if you watch the documentary, one of the things that opened up my mind and made me comfortable in South Africa was because I made friends with a guy called Lumanyano. He was like a music prodigy. He was young, but he was good with the drums and the music. So my first job that I was learning camera work and my skills, I was basically filming for him. We'd go to Kailicha and other surrounding area to Langa when he performs. I would take photos, videos, and edit for him. But yeah, it can be very daunting, to be real. I would say to anybody, if you travel to a new place, don't try to leave your home in a new place. Like, don't try to live like
The
you're
way
back
you-
home. Like, you're in a new place,
Adapt and-
adapt to new things and new ways of doing things, so that you don't really you don't seem too much of an alien.
No, Dennis has been traveling a lot.
Yeah, I've been to South. Actually,
Yes, been-
the Kailicia that is mentioning, we were supposed to go there. I think we didn't go because we actually figured out late that it was too far. Because we were actually in Joburg then, but we needed to come. There was this community cinema thing. I've just forgotten the name, but it's in Kailicha. They show movies, and the woman that was running that, I was in contact with her. So I had traveled with this girl that had done like a movie from Malawi, and yeah, she really wanted us to go there, and so the guys can perform. But when I looked at the distance, I was like, nah, this is like too far. And then I actually did like a background check about the area, and I figured it was really like just a hostile community, and their work. These guys were trying to like create peace among the communities, and I was like, no. So the only thing that we could do was to just send them a copy of the movie so they can just show it there, and then they paid for it and everything. So yeah, but staying in South, I don't think it's for the faint-hearted, bro.
No, you weren't stabbed.
I wasn't, but my father was stabbed before. Yeah, in the areas. And his friend was killed maybe 2-3 years ago.
Whoa.
Yes. In that area, he was shot dead in the morning. He was going to work, and somebody just came out.
Okay, you know, like when you were saying that Cape Town is like the worst areas to stay in, the amount of times that you hear about shootings and killing, it's like normal things that you talk about every day in the morning, that it happened there yesterday. Today there were like 4 there.
Yes.
Why is it like that? But like you stayed there. What was the thing?
I know, like from the outside, especially from someone who I live both worlds, so I understand it now. But I know from the outside, even the AKA thing, it's so hard. I was in Zambia, and people were like, how does it happen that you just shoot someone? And people are not so outraged about the shooter.
Yeah.
Right? They're just talking about, okay, it's dead. They're just moving on, right?
Yeah.
It's like, bro, like it's just too much of it. Guns are so easily accessible, and the crime rate is just extremely so high, to the point that people are becoming so desensitized to it that it just like, okay, another one. Because even before that, there was another musician that was shot like 2-3 months ago from Durban, right?
Yeah.
Exactly. So it's just one of those things. It's terrible. It's terrible. But it's also strange because from the outside, people have opinions about South Africa. They can say, oh, South Africans are xenophobic. That's a lie. You would also feel like, if you're from the outside, you just feel like, especially in Europe, when I'm in Europe or in the Middle East, everybody would talk about, oh, South Africa. They're like, oh, I heard it's dangerous there. It's like, bro, it doesn't mean that you just arrive at the airport and you get robbed. No, man. The areas, if you understand the place, you can live an incredible life, right? It just depends on which areas you're going to live by. But obviously, from a statistical point of view, the probability of you being robbed or being shot is extremely high. Yeah.
Because like seriously, every time I go to South, there's one rule that I'm always told when I'm leaving the houses and I'm going to the markets and whatnot. Don't get your phone, leave it behind. The least that you can do, get a very small phone, like those like small little phones, just for calls. But you don't go around walking. And this is like in Joburg. I don't usually go to the CBD because I can't.
You don't go to Joburg CBD, bro.
Just staying there, looking down at what's happening like on the streets and whatnot. You see all the worst things that can happen, like white people getting mugged, robbed, and people just passing by like that.
Like nothing. Yeah, I know.
Yeah, it's creepy.
Yeah, man. Whatever happened to you, you survived.
I did survive. And I love South Africa. It's my favorite country on the planet still. I think it's beautiful. And I just wish that all the nonsense would just stop. It's
Yeah.
just like the killings and all that. But I think it's an incredible project, and it has a lot of potential.
Yeah,
A lot
it's
of young
actually-
minds, brilliant people. They're doing incredible things. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think it's just sad that sometimes like the bad things are the ones that usually come out.
Yeah.
Of course, there are a lot of good things that would come there, but the bad ones are the ones that make the most noise when they happen.
Oh
And
yeah.
yeah.
I mean, like from the scientific perspective, South Africa does a lot of work in the science field and a lot of incredible news that could be out there, but obviously the negatives stand out more, right? And
Yeah.
you're seeing it during COVID. There was a lot of developments that were coming out of South Africa. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly right. So it's one of those things.
Okay, cool.
But it's like social media, bro. It's like Twitter. The negative shit.
It's the one that blows, and everybody's talking about it.
Yeah.
Any positive, nobody wants to give it.
Because people have miserable lives and they're looking for something to poke. Like, what's
Yeah.
going on?
Okay. Yeah, and people have been poking on crypto, which is something that you do. And yeah, I think people find it so hard to just believe that Bitcoin is actually an investment that somebody can do and make money out of it. There have been a lot of people that have come to this country and say, oh no, you know what, we want to start this about Bitcoin, want to do a conference at BICC about Bitcoin.
Yeah.
And then they started advertising. Every time this type of advert comes into a group, no matter how legit this person is, we have met some of them, had conversations, but the moment you meet or encounter that advert or promo in a WhatsApp group, you know it's gonna go down.
Yeah.
Scammers, if you want to lose your money, go there and whatnot. And you are there. I've seen you. Like at first when I like came in contact with your profile, I think it was on Instagram and whatnot, I was like, oh, okay. Actually, until when I met McDonald, he was like, no, Gray Jabesi, Gray, because you use Gray on Insta, your
Great
handle.
BTC.
Gray BTC, yeah.
Yes.
He was like, no, Gray Jabesi is Great BTC. I was like, no, that guy's not from Malawi. He's like, no, he's from Malawi. I was like, no, I've been following him and we had a conversation. Now, tell me, how, bro, did you go into this and you're here, you're doing things, you're investing, you're teaching people to do crypto, and this is home, but home does not accept crypto.
Yeah, bro. It's like this. So the whole crypto thing, you have to look at it from a perspective of someone who wants to emancipate themselves from all the chains. I think it's a complete great proposition to that. But if your understanding of the world is this kind of thing that you're waiting for someone else to tell you what is right and what's wrong, then I don't think you can understand. It'll be so difficult to understand. So let's address the scam problem. If you believe in miracles, it just makes it extremely easy for you to get scammed. Because I'll give you an example. You're at home and you receive a message, a WhatsApp message from a +1 number, America,
yeah.
and the first thing they say, they're promising you the future. Oh, there's this investment. You put this amount of money. I will help you do this and that. For someone who believes in miracles, the logic is going to be like, oh, this must be a gift from God or something, right? This guy just came through, because you're not going to be critical about it and ask questions about, I didn't do anything to attract someone from America to message me and start talking about money. So if you remove the belief of miracle money in your life, you can never be scammed. Period. So all these guys that come here and do the conferences and all that, if you look at how they do it, it's basically they're like motivational speakers.
Yeah.
When you go to this place, they talk about motivation, cars, and wealth. They're not even interested in making you understand what cryptocurrency is. Because then it doesn't work for them, right? So for people who want to seek the truth, they can join cryptouniversity.network. They can look for things for themselves online. And crypto doesn't require you to basically be a follower of someone, right? To be following someone religiously and just do what they tell you. You have to do your own research. Yeah. So you know, I mean, crypto here, it works. You might not see it, but it's there. I hired a guy in 2020, Ndawa. Now, you know, it doesn't work for me anymore, but he's driving a BMW. He's probably 22, 23 years old right now, independent. He's doing well. And he's still doing crypto in Malawi.
Okay.
Yeah. So the whole thing for me is like, right now the economy is about it. It's not where you are. It's where you are here, because you could be here, but you could also be in China, America, Japan at the same time. And what can give you that kind of leverage? The internet and crypto. Yeah.
Okay. You've met a boy in 25 today. You just came from Dubai. You're walking in 25 and you meet a boy on the streets. Like, oh, Jabesi, I remember you from way back in the day. So, what are you doing these days? It's like, I'm into crypto. It's like, crypto? What is crypto?
Yeah. So crypto is like a foreign currency, but it's not attached to any other form of currency. It's not attached to any form of government. So when you talk about the US dollar, you're talking about the United States currency.
Yeah.
The Malawian kwacha, you're talking about the Malawian kwacha currency. But Bitcoin is independent from all those countries, because when you're using each currency has its own regulations of how it should be conducted. That's why it's so difficult to send money from Malawi to South Africa, because for you to make that kind of transaction, the Malawi kwacha has to be converted into the South African rand. It's too complicated. Bitcoin is just the same. Bitcoin can be used in the UK, can be used here. It's just like gold, but it's in a digital format. And for you to have, let's say, a US dollar account, you need to go through the bank, apply, sign forms. Whereas with Bitcoin, you can be in some village in Salima, as long as you have a smartphone, download an app, create an account, just like a WhatsApp account. And then you basically can transact at a world scale. This was possible to people who were the rich back in the day, right? Even right now, if you don't know how to use cryptocurrency, you cannot move like how the big boys move here, because they invest in stocks. They can send money to China, to Japan, and order things and bring it back. For you, you are stuck with your Malawi kwacha like this. You cannot do anything. Whereas now the Bitcoin gives you the power to be able to do the same thing that a billionaire can do, but with a simple wallet on your phone.
How do you get it into your account? So say I've gone on my phone, downloaded the app that is an account basically which can receive a crypto, a coin. So I've downloaded there. How do I get the first coin into my account?
Okay, so if you want to buy gold, how are you gonna get gold into your hands?
I need to go find. Okay, so like in Malawi right now, I know I've heard there are several places that people are going there to dig the soil and they'll find gold. Like I think in Natenje, Matavira area there are people that are like digging gold. I think also around Kasungu somewhere. So if I need gold, probably I'll go there. Either I'll go dig it myself or find somebody who is digging and say, hey, I've got some kwachas, I need gold, or kill them and get the gold. Okay, that's how you can get gold. You can kill somebody who has gold and get
that's how the UK got their gold. Right? The European got it like that.
They didn't bring anything. They just like to us, say, close your eyes, let's pray. And when people are praying, these other girls packing gold and then.
Yeah. Straight facts. So that's one exactly. So all you need to do, find someone who has the Bitcoin and you buy it from them. There are apps that allow you to do that. There are also websites that allow you to connect with people who can sell you the Bitcoin. So it's very straightforward. It's something that if you want to get it done, you will. So the problem is not where do I buy Bitcoin. It's just that people who don't have the Bitcoin, they have just never been that interested to get it. Because if you want it, you can have Bitcoin by the end of today. Simple, in your wallet. It's easier for you to buy Bitcoin than it is to buy gold. You understand? So it's one of those things. Today is maybe $25,000 for one Bitcoin.
One Bitcoin.
Yeah.
So, but I know that you can buy less than Bitcoin.
Yes.
How does that work?
It's
I know
all.
this is a masterclass for crypto investor. We're getting from free.
No. Look, it's like it's the same as buying gold. You can either buy a bullion or you can buy some piece that someone just mined somewhere, right? A little piece. So, or a car. You can either buy the entire car or you can buy a wheel only. It doesn't matter, right? However, in the car thing, it's just that the wheel, there's nothing you can do about it. But yeah, you can buy in pieces. Just like you might not afford $1,000, but you can afford to buy $5. You convert your Malawi kwacha and get $5 for it. right? So just like any currency, you don't have to have one. It's denominated, and then you can buy in small amounts. Yeah.
So, for I think a lot of Malawians,
Yeah.
it's the thing of our mindset and the indoctrination that has happened to us. And this, you can see it actually even with money wallets.
Yeah.
The simple money wallets, Airtel Money, TNM Mpamba, and whatnot.
Yeah.
For a lot of people, it's still hard for them to live hard cash, the hard cash life. For them to say, I've got money, they want to see the bundles, they want to feel the coins, the paper, like, okay,
Yeah.
that's money. But we have probably moved from there now.
Yeah.
Somebody can send $1 million. I can send you 1 million Malawi kwacha from my Airtel wallet to my bank account to you. I don't see cash. All I see is the digits that I had in my account or whatever platform I'm using. And I'm moving that, it goes down as a digit into your account. What do you think can be done so people can really start equating these things like, okay, we have been able to move from hard cash, which is the paper that you saw, to bank transfers. Now to actually you can get money from the bank to your Mpamba, but still value. You get to a shop, you buy bread, all you do is do a transaction on your phone, and oh yeah, I got a message, and you believe you have received money. But people cannot believe in coins. What can be done, or what's your understanding?
This is something to do with just poor mentality. If you're broke, that's how you look at money. You understand money as something you can use to buy something.
Yeah.
You know, if you can go on the streets and ask people, if I give you $1 million now, what are you gonna do? The first thing they're gonna tell you is what they're gonna buy. Buy.
Yeah.
So they don't understand that, you know, money is just power. It's the same as people think that owning things is very important. It's another indoctrination. I want to own a house. Like, bro, owning is not what's important. Control is important, right? So money, I mean, understanding currency is the same. It's just power. So if money is power, it doesn't matter whether you can go and buy bread with it. It's almost like if you have a ton of gold inside your house. Are you going to be worried about, but how am I going to buy bread with this? Right? Yeah, right, exactly, right? Right. So different kinds of currencies or formats of currencies are useful for different things. Now, there are different layers to this. You live in a country that our currency is denominated to the dollar and all that. So we're subject to devaluations and all that, right? But how can you protect yourself from that? You need to find some form of asset that is going to maintain the value or go up in value. The way money works or worth is created is if you work for 30 years later, you're supposed to be richer than what you were before.
Before, yeah.
Right? That's how you can retire and all that. So if your parents are supposed to be richer than you.
Yes.
You understand? But why isn't that the case today? Ask yourself that. It's because the design of the money is so poor that if your parents were saving 100,000 kwacha in 1980, now they're just extremely poor because there's nothing they can do about it, right? So Bitcoin can be thought of as that, like it's a currency that it's designed inversely to what the traditional currencies work like. So when I was gaining Bitcoins for the first time, I could buy a pair of shoes with one BTC. Oh. Yes. So, it was easy and common back then to get 5 Bitcoins, 2 Bitcoins. But now 1 Bitcoin, I can buy a house with it, depending on where, right? Because it's what in Malawi currency is 25 million, 30 million kwacha with the current rates.
Yeah.
Right. You understand? So it's just understanding how money works and understanding that the current normal traditional money is designed to work against you because it's a business for the banks. You can look at it this way. Here, the devaluation happens. Let's say they devalue currency by 25%, right? And your neighbor was selling his property for 1 million kwacha, a piece of land. You meet this guy the next day, he's probably still selling for 1 million kwacha.
Yeah.
Because it hasn't even adjusted for inflation, right? It's like money is so tricky. It's like this is how the system steals money from you and make you poorer. That's why our parents worked for a long time, but they're poor because somebody else is stealing from them by fiddling with how the money works.
Yeah.
You know, but if you understand that, you cannot be played around with. So Bitcoin gives you that kind of power to be like, yo, I'm gonna take my money out of this kind of system. I'll put it in an alternative system that's designed to work for me, right? That's basically, I think, one of the ways I can understand it. Forget the whole thing of, oh, how am I going to spend it? Like, oh, bro, that's not a problem. You always find a way to spend it. If I give you copper, I don't even know what to do with copper. But surely I'll find a way to liquidate it into cash, if I need some, right? Yeah. So it's what's more important is to accumulate the asset and worry about the spending later.
And that's true.
Yeah.
I like how he has described it. Oh, the money that we have right now, you can use it to spend, but what happens if anything happens? It goes down every time.
Every day.
If I keep my 100, like $1 million today, 1 million Malawi, by December, that 1 million is nothing. If you keep crypto assets, yes, they will fluctuate in one or the other, but the chances that it's going to go up is higher than on the fiat money.
Exactly. That's basically the play. That's the risk you're taking, right? Am I going to take 50 million and drop it onto a piece of real estate, right? In a currency that is devaluing itself like crazy? Or am I going to take it and invest it in Bitcoin or some cryptocurrency that's really solid that could give me 4 or 5x in the next 10 years or 20x? It just depends on how you look at it. And economic prosperity is basically about decision making, right? So, like we said, I can give you 1 mil. I can give him 1 mil. The way you're going to decide to spend this money dictates what your future will look like 10 years from now. Someone will be like, oh, I'll buy a car. Okay, nice. Go ahead. Someone will say that I'll go shopping. Someone would say, I'm just going to be drinking for the next 2 months. You know, I'll be lazy and just sit on the couch, do nothing, watching football and all that shit. And someone else is going to invest it in crypto. And 5 years later, they have 60 million in their account. What's the difference? The decision that the other person makes. So this crypto thing, you can't really force it on people. But for someone who is genuinely trying to grow their wealth, it's something you need to learn and decide for yourself what you want to do.
You know what I'm thinking here? I'm thinking about creatives, artists who work, they go do gigs, they don't have a passion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They don't have a passion fund kept somewhere. These guys are gonna be poor at some point in time if something happens. A player, a football player, in a place like Malawi, who after an injury is done and they're gonna go poor and they'll be on the streets.
Yeah.
If they make a decision and say, okay, fine, I'm gonna take 1-2 mil for this year, I'm gonna invest it in this and forget it.
Yes.
Whatever happens to them 15 years later, they are blocked somewhere, they'll remember, oh, I have an asset somewhere.
Yeah.
They can liquidate that one and become something big. Because if they keep money somewhere, it will have been what? If they keep it with the guys that are doing insurances here in Malawi, you know what happens with that money.
You know
the
the
margins
deal.
are really awkward.
It's nothing, because even when I don't know how they even factor in inflation when they're giving you the
Look, how
premiums
many
and
people
whatnot.
do you think know how to calculate inflation?
nobody. Like, really,
Bro.
even if we like start now that conversation in this room, like, when have you factored in inflation when we're doing, let's say, sales and purchases? Just look at it. How
Bro,
much did I buy it?
To the average person, 1,000 is 1,000 to them.
That's it.
Even if it gets devalued by 2%, 20% tonight,
For them, they
tomorrow
still have
I have
1,000.
1,000, right? And this is the ignorance that the banks and the governments use to steal from people.
A lot of people don't understand how that works and how it affects the money that they have.
Yeah.
You'd have money today, like you've already said in the beginning, and you'd think you still have the same money tomorrow, but some people choose to, like, let's say, invest in property and real estates. Why do you think investing in, let's say, crypto is much better and safer than that when it comes to issues of inflation?
Yeah, so inflation is like this. You can take a $100 note and you rub some KFC to it so that it smells like KFC.
Yeah.
And you put it in a cage in a room and you throw a mice in there, right? Long enough, if you live long enough, you'll find that, okay, you'll find some pieces of the money, but it's not going to be there fully, right?
Yeah.
So it eats up a little bit of your money over time to the point that the money gets devalued over time. the way money is supposed to work, that the rich people understand this. You want something that you're going to have today, tomorrow it has to be worth more. So the fiat currency system is designed in a way that having money today, if you save it, the same amount of money, basically tomorrow you'll be poorer.
Yeah.
An example was COVID. During the COVID, the American government literally gave every American $1,600. Where do you think that money came from?
Fiat money is easy to
It's
create.
printed. You just
You
print.
just print
Yeah.
and you just like
Print
introduce
and
it into the
handle.
system. Yeah.
The only thing is that if we're countries like Malawi don't have that leverage, right? So we cannot just, if we print money, we lose value to the US dollar. That's where the devaluations come into. But with Bitcoin, it's designed in a way that in the long run, you end up with you have more purchasing power. Let's put it that way. That's why I was saying that back in the day with one Bitcoin, I could buy a pair of shoes. Now, I can buy a house with one Bitcoin.
Yeah.
Well, give it another 5 years, I'll be able to buy a mansion with one Bitcoin. Give it another 5 years, I can buy whatever. I can buy a Lambo plus a house. So whereas if I take the same amount of money that I would buy Bitcoin today, let's say $25,000, and I just keep it, well, it's not going to go anywhere. It only make me poorer.
Yes, yes.
So the guys are getting, like the average person who don't know how to play this game is basically just getting poorer and poorer because the banks are just playing them. You take all your money, you put it in the bank, and they tell you about all these interest rates. But basically the game is that it's designed by the banks and you cannot beat them at their own game. Because if you think that you can play that game and win, bro, like how can you play against the designer? Like you are Super Mario in a game and you want to beat the creator? It's not going to work.
What you're saying is really true because sometimes people think the world is fair.
What?
Yeah.
Do
But
people
that's how we live. Mainly let's say in this country, we live in where we think the world is fair. I know everybody that is doing things are trying to do good things for us. The aid donors are like good people that are trying to take us out. The politicians, actually.
Right.
Yeah, they come. They are good people that are trying to take us. So we live on a...
The world is a game. If you understand it that it's a game, then you have all the answers you need to know, right? The politician is playing a game and he wins when he wins an election, right? He's worried about elections. The citizen wants this guy to deliver. But the way the game is designed is that this guy, he's more incentives if he screws you over than when he delivers something, right?
Yeah.
So like if a politician doesn't deliver and he loses an election, he's not worried about not delivering. He's worried about losing an election.
Yeah.
So you have a system that's by design, it will never yield to real results because the game is poorly designed. It's almost like Super Mario is stuck in the world of Mario, right?
Yeah.
She cannot decide that, I want to wake up in FIFA 3D playing with Messi. Like, dude, you're Mario. You're in there.
This is your game.
This is your
where you
game,
play.
right? So the world is a game and it's not fair. And if it's criminal because even government, if you think about it, government is a criminal organization.
Yeah.
I know people are like, but that's the reality. Government is a gang. It has full force that can force anybody to do something because at the very end of the spectrum, if you think about it, it's violence. So whoever has monopoly on violence is basically the mafia that runs the country. And like things, when you talk about fair, people think about democracy, laws, but these things only apply to us, normal people. Even business, at the very highest order of business, it's not really about creating value and offering value. It's basically power, whoever has the power, because you can decide to basically be the only power supplier of a certain country. That's not business. That's basically just power deciding how things move. Whereas the normal people have to basically do the real things to get value, but that doesn't apply to everybody. So the world is not fair. That's why I like to talk about crypto like, this is power to you. Use it to your own advantage. Everyone else is going to lie to you simply because they want to make money from you, like the banks and all that. But on your own, at least you have, it gives you some kind of power that you didn't have before.
Okay. And currently, what's the status of crypto like? The markets and how people can actually get into there and the value of, let's say, different currencies, different coins on the market. How are they faring? And I know there have been like several issues that happened, like the values going down. what's your take on everything that has been happening?
Yeah, so it's a small industry, and this thing is only like 12, 13 years old, right? So it still has a long way to go. There's some kinks to fix, and there will be volatile moments. That's expected. It has always been there, but the long term is that it's good. Now you need to be careful because in crypto you have Bitcoin and you have Ethereum, some good projects, right? Some good coins, so to speak. But then you also have all the other coins that nobody knows about. And those ones you cannot associate them or think of them as also it's Bitcoin or whatever. Those are just like, some of it is almost like a speculative investment. Some of it is pure gambling for fun. So if you understand what is what in the market, you're perfectly fine. Like, I'm not concerned about, the market today, Bitcoin was $60,000 last year, but now it's 25,000. I don't care, because I know that in the long term, it will be worth more than what it is today, right? So that's the most important thing to understand. The small up and downs, don't worry about them. Think about 5 years. I can guarantee you something. 5 years from now, Bitcoin will be worth more than what it has ever been, in the hundreds of thousands of dollars, if not $1 million. The dollar will be worth more, and the Malawi kwacha would be like, you'll be paying a couple of $1,000s for $1. A couple of thousand kwachas for $1. That's given.
Yeah.
So that, right? Then what are you gonna do about it, though? Right? It's just common sense. Like, that the currency you're holding, or the money that you're having in the bank, that, look, I have a bunch of Malawi kwacha or South African rand. That these currencies will lose value to the dollar. But what are you doing about it? And this is, I think, the game that a lot of poor people don't understand, like us at the bottom, because at the highest level, these are the games that the rich people always play. The rich people in the politicians here, they always have accounts in different countries. They have always had that, right? They buy homes elsewhere. Why do you think they're doing that? They understand the game, that the currency is a game to be played and you have to play to win. Even the investments, like real estate. Okay, you want to have real estate, but where are you going to have it, though? It just doesn't mean because you're here, then all your real estate investment has to be here, right? So those are some of the things I think you can associate crypto with. It's more than just like what coin to buy, or is it going up or down. It's more about how are you going to position yourself in this game. Again, it's a game. In this game that you can have a chance to win. Because if you don't, there are other big players like banks and governments that basically design it to make it work for them, not you. Even though the idea is that they make you believe that they're doing it for you. But you know the deal. Yeah.
That thinking, I don't know, I've always had it. And I think the sooner I realize that things are not done for me. Things are done for corporations.
Right.
For them, where people are numbers. What value are we bringing? And it ends there. So sometimes you attach yourself to these things, believing that things are going to work for you because there's no sympathy in the game.
Rick Ross has a song that game ain't based on sympathy. Basically, that's it.
Everyone is hustling. They're hustling for whosoever they're hustling for, and it's something of that nature. So we look at the insurances and everyone is making money. Yeah,
you're the only one in that transaction that don't make money, because the insurance company makes money, the bank makes money, the government makes money. You're the only one who's basically the loser. And when it comes to like the 2008 situation where everything goes to shit and then people lose money, well, the companies gets bailed out, or if you're rich, you can file for bankruptcy. But you as an individual, basically you're stuck to loans or whatever that you have to pay forever. So it's out there, but it's like it's hidden in plain sight, so to speak, right? And for me, when I look at the crypto thing, I was like, okay, look, this thing is new. Nobody really knows how to figure it. And the only reason why it works, it's because the bigger guys still haven't figured it out, right? So if you're in a place like Malawi, bro, that's your advantage before they get on it, because they will. You have seen what they're doing in the US. They're shutting down a lot of players to get the big guys, the BlackRocks and all these big companies, the JP Morgans, to come and control it. Yeah. Because these guys, they look at us as we're some peasants that they have to tell us what to do, what's good for us. That's why you hear that, don't invest in this, but do this. It's like, bro, why do you got to tell me what to do with my money? Yeah. But then, like you said before, we're trained to be scared of our own power and our own money. I remember when I made real money for the first time, I thought that I was doing something illegal.
Yeah.
I felt like something is
That's
wrong.
what happens when you have a lot of money. You feel this is not the normal.
Right.
Yeah.
You can relate, right?
Yeah.
It's because you've been conditioned to just basically be a peasant. So having power, money scares the hell out of you. Because you're like, oh, how is this, what's going? That's why most people, especially if you win like a lottery, you end up just getting broke. Because when you're buying something, I went this phase where, I come from an extremely poor background.
When you say that, people hate you on TikTok.
I know. Yeah, but those guys, they have nothing to compare it to, right? It's like, bro, you live in a place where the roads are not even paved.
You see?
And you think that you can live in a mansion, but like your environment, look at your environment.
Yeah.
That's what those guys don't understand.
Some of them haven't traveled to compare.
And the worst problem with that is that you're denying your reality. You're in denial. How are you going to address the situation when you're denying that it exists? Like, bro, Malawi is one of the poorest countries on the planet. That's facts. Area 25 is a poor neighborhood. That's
That's
facts.
a fact. I think when we talk about poverty, people think about poverty from their own perspectives, basically.
Yes.
So when you live in Malawi, you grow up, let's say, I grew up, let's say, in Kasungu. That's where my surroundings were. And I moved from Kasungu to Nsanje, then went to Mangoji. When you come to Lilongwe now to start staying in these areas now, you think, no, this is wealth. This is being rich. You know,
Right.
start feeling like, I think I've made it. So when people say you come from a rich country, your comparison is basically where you are coming from,
Yes.
where you grew up when you were young, with those Timagabudurata Zigamba running around. And because we still see those people within us, and you compare that with, Area 49, Area 42, we now have my 52-inch TV in our home. We're not poor. We don't know what the world is like. We don't even know owning, let's say, a Range Rover.
Yeah.
It's like a normal thing for like a lot of people elsewhere.
Yes.
When you drive a Benz here, you are the man. You are the person.
Bro, I remember like back in the day, sorry to cut you off, but it's like I used to think that when I think about my family and our wealth, I used to count like we have a refrigerator, a phone, a TV. That was what we associated with, our wealth. But I know when you're broke, bro, like you don't know. That's the thing sometimes, right? Like you say, if you don't have anything to compare it to, it's easier to be satisfied and think like everything is all good because that's all you have known.
Yeah.
But my point was because I come from these extreme poor backgrounds, right? I remember when I had to spend $350 a night to pay for a hotel. I forgot which country it was.
Yeah.
$350.
Which is
a
close to
night.
1,000
Malawi.
Right.
This is my rate.
for the whole month.
Right. So that was my mentality. I would convert it to rand and then I would convert it to Malawi. I'm spending all this money on one night just to sleep, right? It's because your background is still trying to pull you back to where you were. You just don't feel comfortable with wealth or living a different life than what you used to. And you need to learn how to break it. And those people who like make so much money through like gambling or they get lucky, they make money, they just don't feel comfortable that they burn it all down just to feel normal. So that's like, it's an imposter syndrome of some sort, but like it happens. It's real.
I didn't deserve to have all this, just came so.
Right. Especially if you don't work hard for it, it's even worse to feel that way. But it just happens to everybody because you're just conditioned to believe that you're supposed to be in some kind of compromised situation,
Okay, a quick one. You're talking about the situation of crypto. Quick one on what has happened with Sam Bankman-Fried.
Yeah.
The whole fiasco there, and also the whole regression you have referred to, the way the BlackRocks and the JP Morgan are coming for the crypto, trying to push for regulations and so on. What do you think about the future of crypto there? Is it safe?
When we had the last podcast, I think there was another crash we discussed. Which one was it? Didn't we discuss the FTX before? Oh, that was Luna.
Things happen.
Right. Okay. So with the FTX, this is the funny thing about it. the same thing that most people would push for when it comes to crypto, regulation, is what destroyed FTX. FTX was the most regulated cryptocurrency company in the world. They were having coffee with members of Congress, the Fed's chairmen and the SEC, Gary Gensler. They were the second, Sam Bankman-Fried himself, the founder, was the second highest funder of the Democratic Party. He also funded the elections on the Republican side, but he didn't make that public, right? So everybody was trusting, including companies. Oh, this is a cool kid from MIT. He checked all the boxes, educated, right? And his parents are lawyers, and he is basically regulated and all these things that you can think of. But guess what happened? Big fraud was going on behind the scenes. And all these things were basically a PSYOP cover-up. And then they were printing money and then taking people's money as your deposits as a customer. They will use you to trade in another company called Alameda, which also belonged to them. So they lost money on some of the trades. They made some bad investments. And basically it means almost like you're a bank. You spend the user's funds. Now, when people on one day decided something looks weird because he had an argument with CZ from Binance, a lot of people started withdrawing. And then they realized that, okay, we have run out of money, right? And then because of that, they were backing majority of their reserves in their own coin called FTT. And then people also started selling the FTT token, including Binance had $2 billion worth of FTT. So they moved the transactions. And because in blockchain, everything is basically transparent, we were able to see that, okay, 2 billion worth of FTT has been moved to Binance. And then CZ had made a statement that, okay, we're going to sell FTT. So as traders, a lot of people, they're like, oh, whether you're an investor or whatever, your only way out was to sell immediately. And then the currency price just went all the way down to zero.
Wow.
And then it meant that they were saying that, oh, we have $8 billion in reserves. That $8 billion was based on the fact that FTT is worth $30 as an example. But now that FTT has gone down to zero, it means the $8 billion doesn't exist anymore. So that was it. So moving forward, if you had your money on your own non-custodial wallet, that is not a company like FTX or whatever, you're fine. You have nothing to worry about. But the danger is these regulations give people false hopes and they want to make you less paranoid. Just like how we work now. We put money in the bank or whatever. If you treat crypto the same way, you will lose it. Because something is going to happen. The governments don't know how to regulate it. They misregulate it like what they did with the FTX situation. And then people just lose money. So in the future, everything is going to be fine. It taught most people to basically be more aware about the risks associated with crypto, especially custodianship, what kind of projects to invest in. And now most people... Ledger, the company that creates this, what we call hardware wallets. It's basically a device like a USB drive that allows you to store your cryptocurrency on your own. They had their record sales that week when FTX collapsed.
Everybody was like moving their money from their wallets.
They were removing, even from Binance. They're like, oh, I don't trust exchanges anymore. Maybe Binance is also going to collapse. Let me take my money. If you have Luna in South Africa, it's the same situation. Withdraw, put it in a non-custodial wallet. So that's the gist of what happened. In the future, we'll see many of these collapses as we go, especially the centralized exchanges. But if you use self-custody, you will be fine. Yeah.
And then there are also concerns about the process of mining the coins and whatnot. I've read that it has got environmental impacts and whatnot because of the amount of power that consumed. What's that about?
Man, to talk about the environment and all this stuff.
Yeah, so we're hearing like mining of the like.
It's big business, bro. So you have to be careful what you say with that. It's a thing, right? It's basically the eat now. So you have to be careful with how you talk about it. It's like the big boys on the top. That is the new narrative to make money. So you have to be careful. So. There's a lot of ignorance about, like, Bitcoin mining is actually one of the most innovative when it comes to green energy. And it's actually greener than most industries. But Bitcoin takes a lot of energy to mine. Obviously, it costs a lot of energy. But what do you expect for a currency that is self-sustained? It doesn't require any power to control it. It's decentralized. I think it's a fair game, right? And you can mine Bitcoin however you want, anywhere. It's just that where you have to be in an environment where electricity is consistent and cheap, and it's cold because all these machines need cooling, right? So mining is perfectly fine, and the Bitcoin is greener than what people think, and there's a lot of innovation in the mining industry simply because basically it's a money-making business. It's really profitable if you do it well. So people are always looking for low cost and more effective and as green as you can get. So if you look at the Bitcoin miners, the largest companies, they're doing whatever they can to be as green as possible. And some companies or some projects have switched their sort of consensus mechanisms, like Ethereum. It used to be based on mining like Bitcoin, but now it's used what we call proof of stake, which means it's all about people holding their coins in their wallets and not moving them and stuff like that. But that goes with a compromise of security, because it now means that a big whale like BlackRock can buy the majority of the tokens, and they can sort of control what happens. They can start censoring transactions. Or it happened to Uniswap recently, where there was a proposal, I think, to increase rewards in the farms if you're into liquidity farming and stuff like that. And then because A16Z, which is a VC firm in the US, they voted against that proposal, even though us as the Uniswap community wanted it because it was more money, but they voted against it because it works against them since they hold majority of the tokens. So it's easier to game a proof of stake system than it is to game like a proof of work system of mining. So with the energy consumption, yeah, it's a lot of misunderstanding. People talk about what they don't understand mostly. Bitcoin, yes, it consumes a lot of electricity, but just like any other industry, MasterCard, they consume how much energy do you think they spend?
Yeah, to like run all their machines everywhere.
Yeah, they have a lot of nodes, bro.
Yeah.
But I like the conversation, and I hope it's gonna scare people. The terms that are being used here.
Okay, so one thing that I've like observed about our people here, when you talk about cryptos and whatnot, a lot of people are now trying to equate it to gambling, which is casino gambling and also online gambling. So there are all these games that have now been released online, like things like Aviator and whatnot, where people like go, I put a stake of 5,000 and I made 45 million. I put as somebody who understands crypto. How do you tell someone like, no, crypto is not gambling? These are two different things, and how different are they?
I think this is exactly similar to what I said before. Miracle money. I think you're talking about people who believe in miracle money. And I don't think those are the same people who...
Kelly, Sleep, do you have your bet slip for today?
I don't bet.
Yeah, so he's betting too.
Because these days, when you said miracle money, there are people that go out, they have a 2,000 kwacha, they go on that betting machine, and they like produce a bet slip, and they walk around with 16 million possible returns of like teams that they have selected, and they are confident, they're hoping that they'll get 16 million by the end of this game that they've placed.
It's the mentality of miracle money, my friend. I don't know how to help those people, because if your way of making money is belief, then I have bad news for you, bro. Like, you're not gonna compete with the big guys, the banks and the BlackRocks of the world, who have a real intention and plan, and your idea of making money and winning. So, like, again, it's a game. So imagine somebody designs a game like Aviator, I don't even know what it is, for you to gamble. Do you think you're going to beat him in that game?
No.
Right?
No. Who creates a money-making machine so that they can be losing money from it?
Okay, so thank you. So I think that is a common sense problem, but then also associated with belief of miracle money, that you can just wake up and, oh, you'll like it today, my friend, you made it. That has nothing to do with cryptocurrency. I'm sure these people do know that there's nothing to do with crypto here. But again, if you're greedy and you don't want to work and you're lazy, that's what you do. And I can guarantee you, if you make 16 million from 2,000, I'll give you another 16 million. We can make a bet right now. So that's all I can say on that.
Okay.
Did anyone win? Do you know anybody who won?
Like, the Aviator one?
Yes.
Yeah, the people are winning. Like, random people.
Yeah, but obviously, right? So if you accumulated 200 million, you pay one person, it makes another 500,000 people to believe, right? to play. So it's just math. That is just, I think, common sense.
Yeah.
Because, like, okay, for me, I still try to understand the aviator winnings and how these people do it? Because I don't see it. How would somebody, or if it's you, maybe okay, you've seen money and whatnot. You have 2,000, you put in your account and you're playing this game. So how the aviator works is you put a stake of an amount, let's say 50 kwacha. And then there's this plane that's flying. As it's flying, the odds go up and it's like multiplying your stake there. So people usually say, he put a 200 kwacha stake. And as it's flying, you have got the possible returns that appear down there.
Yeah.
So you put in 2,000 and you're moving, it's like times 1,000 times 2,000. Do you think somebody can watch until it gets to like 200 million before they cash out? Is it possible? He only had 2,000 and he watched this thing fly to 1 million, 2 million, 3 million to 200 million, and then they said, I'm going to cash out at 2 million.
Oh, so you mean I can enter the game and then I can fly the plane at different price points? And
no,
then,
as you put in the stake, it flies. So it actually
so you need to stop it
flies
somewhere?
away. So you need to stop it before it flies away.
Yes.
So as it's flying up,
So
your odds are going up. So it's like times 10 of the 200 that you have put, times 100, 10. If it flies away before you cash out, you lose the 200 that you had put there.
And all the money that you
you
lose,
everything that you had been winning.
Yeah.
But if you like catch it before it flies away, let's say at 2 million,
Yes.
you get the 2 million into your account.
Well,
So I'm just trying to get into your mind.
Yeah.
If somebody has no money, a lot of people that play that mostly are people that don't even have, let's say, a lot of money. So you put in a 2,000 so you can be betting for 200.
yeah.
And then you can watch it go past 5 million and say, no, I'm going to cash out when it hits 200 million. When chances are, most of the time it's going to fly at times 1.
Okay.
Do you think that's possible? You can watch it.
Okay, so it from what you're explaining, it feels like almost you can't lose in this game then. How can you lose? Because if the plane fly, all I would do if I'm playing it, I would say I put at 2,000, it flies up and just a little bit, I stop it. Then I just keep playing.
Because that's the common sense.
The problem is the greed. So people can play that way.
Yeah.
That's the safest way to do it. But greed gets into people because there's a belief.
Yes.
Sometimes you let the plane move, maybe it multiplies by 2, right? You get that. But after you stop it, it continues to fly until 20.
When you have already cashed out. So I would have waited.
You see, so next time you're like, okay, maybe it will go up to 5. And it keeps on hitting you hard.
But that is a psyop, man. It's like if you play those games, it's designed like that for it's like a gambling game, bro. You will never win. You will never win. So I don't understand. I think it's maybe people who have never played games before. Like if you have ever designed something like that, you know what is it. Those are just like it's psychological, right? It's basically psychological manipulation, right? To give you a belief
that because every time like you cash out early, the fly keeps going and you go like, I could have. So you multiply where it flies. Like the next one, you're like, I'm gonna leave this one. So you put in a higher bet.
Yeah.
So if you're like a higher stake, if you're playing let's say 200, you say, I'm gonna put in a 1,000. So when it hits a 5, I get a 5,000. But before at 1, it's like gone. So
you can never win. I think if you play those things to actually believe that you can make money, you shouldn't invest in anything. You will lose anyway, right? I think there is a lot of personal development that people need to do these days, and we're not taught this in school, like common sense and how to basically create a framework of how your mentality would be like. I think a lot of people just go into the world without thinking. It's just like, okay, however it's going to happen. And somebody tell them aviator, they believe it. They don't even question anything.
How it works. And
right? So I think that is more of a deeper problem of how do we address it? Is it through the education system? Like, I don't know how are we going to fix it.
Yeah,
or you're going to join Crypto University and follow me on YouTube.
Because like, I know a lot of people would like, okay, so I want to join Crypto University and learn. But in their minds, they're equating the training there with, there are actually people that have good WhatsApp groups right now training people how to predict the game that we're talking about.
Yes.
How are you going to predict something that is like designed to like just
to lose your money, right?
So I know that there are a lot of people that have got this mindset of the way I hear about crypto, maybe it's this. What's the training like? How would what are the training that you offer? How do you train? Is it just about investing, or there's like bigger things that you?
So Crypto University, basically our foundation was cryptocurrency, but we have expanded our offering into other areas like AI. I'm sure you've probably heard of ChatGPT and things like that. Like people like me are basically cheating in life, right? I do the least
If people are not cheating, I don't know what they're doing right now. And
Right.
if somebody's still there and it hasn't even explored what they can do with AI,
Yeah.
and then we've got big problems. Like,
You understand? So
bro.
I'm basically cheating in life, just like anyone else who knows what's going on. You can use AI, you can use crypto, you can manipulate YouTube and things like that.
Yeah.
But if you are not in the know, then you're basically the only loser. Like we said before, everyone else is cheating except for you. Because what an average person can do in a day, I can do it in an hour. Right now,
Absolutely,
right?
like,
I can write 10
really?
emails. I can write 7 sales scripts. I can write a poem. I can write a book. I can write this.
In an
I can do
hour.
research. I can understand a book quicker than you if you had to read the whole thing.
Yeah.
So, these are the things that we're teaching. So we're like, okay, cryptocurrency make you understand the financial models of the world, especially cryptocurrency. How can you use it to your own advantage? If you have business, how can you accept it? Then you've got AI. How can you use AI tools to up your game, right? Basically, at the end, you'll be online ready to be like, look, do I need a job here? I don't. You just go online and figure out your own path of how you're going to make money online. If you're with someone who has a little bit of money already, you'll learn how to invest in there. You'll learn how to basically put your money in areas that can grow, how to understand the cryptocurrency market, how to create a portfolio. We have like 6 strategies that you can take from there and implement whatever works for you. We teach how to automate your investments. I've made it an example like 2 weeks where I put $2,000 in a bot that we also teach to create. And within a month, within 38 days, it was $6,000.
Whoa.
So I'm not saying that is the average outcome that you're always going to get, but it's just like I had set up a system and I let it run. I was busy with my life, traveling and all this kind of stuff. And then when I checked back, I'm like, oh, this portfolio is now up this much, right? But the thing is, if you believe that everything has to be hard, you're used to Area 25 hard life like I was, it makes it so difficult for you to understand these things.
Because you think it's too good to be true because you're used to things.
The hard way, bro. It's like I say, like when I made money for the first time, I didn't get it. I made some money through a trade. I was like, how does this happen? Something has to be wrong. Because at that point, I was like, I had my own little computer graphics business. I was doing rotoscoping. Rotoscoping meant at the time the technology wasn't as advanced when it comes to like tracking footage or removing things in footage. Right, so you are making a film and you have some things that you want a car in the background that you don't want to be there. We would remove that stuff. So I would spend like 2 nights straight without sleeping trying to fix a shot because it has to be in edit and all whatever. And that was my way of making money. Imagine. And then I was like, oh, I can just make a couple of $1,000s just sitting at home on my phone. I didn't believe it, right? So it's the same. It's the same.
We're used to making money has to be hard.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't say. I think it's time to get to crypto. I say.
I think so. I think it's the time to like really explore what's there in the market and how, because sometimes when people talk about these things, and for me, I think when I saw him, I was like, okay, this shit looks like so real. This guy is like, he's from 25. He's always like everywhere. He's in this country today.
Yes, this is the dust that we're testing.
Of course, bro. I know it all.
Yeah. And actually, we as a country, we have got this belief of these things happen. Okay, we love to believe things when we see it, other people appreciating it. And I know that there are a lot of people that actually studied, oh, this guy is legit, because of your connections with guys like Mark G.
Yes.
When you came on their podcast and you've got like all these things going on. Like, oh no, this guy's actually legit. But he knows he's a Malawian. Oh, is he? I've heard like people like discuss and whatnot. So yeah, I think it's
the Malawi people will believe you when you are standing in the path of power, like he has, right? if you tell people that I have this money, I'm making this money, because he will choose to be silent.
Yeah.
And make his money
Man,
silently.
enjoy his life and
But people will believe because they have seen him with DJ Sibu. Oh, we know Sibu. So yeah.
he
But
actually has access to these guys. He must have the money.
he
Actually.
needs to have the money, which is the big mentality here. It's huge.
And that's how the scams work, because people believe in people instead of ideas and or the reality of what's going on, right? So that the scams work because they bring someone, especially foreign or a white person, then everybody just believe and give them all their
how
money.
is big man.
Yeah.
Actually, Zungu, I say,
Yeah. You know the deal, right? You know the deal.
Okay, let's talk about traveling.
Yeah.
You were traveling. You were in Zambia. So,
Mm-hmm.
what was happening in Zambia? What's up that side?
So in Zambia, there was a program that was put together partly by the Zambian government. They're trying to grow their blockchain ecosystem there. So they invited Vitalik Buterin, who is the founder of Ethereum, super genius of our time.
Yeah.
So it's a big thing. And then they also, he came together with the Ethereum Foundation. And there's a company also called CGU, which was part of that. And there are other players also, from Cheaper Cash and so many other companies that were part of that trip. It was a small group of people. So I'm from Crypto University. We also happen to be there. And basically, the Zambian government was trying to say to the world, especially to the builders in this space, that, hey, we're ready. Let's grow the ecosystem out here. And, the Ethereum Foundation was there. We met the ministers, and I think they met the president. And now there's something going on in a way that, okay, what do we do now? Because the minister was like, oh, we have seen this kind of thing happen. Guys come and go. But I want to see something tangible happening, right? So we're like, look, we're builders. If you open a door for people like us, in this blockchain space, a lot of young people that are so enthusiastic about changing the world. Like Vitalik, look, he is like stupid rich. But like he doesn't even care about all that. Like he's traveling country to country, doesn't have to make any money. He's not asking for donor aid or anything. He just wants to see the world built, right? Just like all the other Africans that were there from Nigeria, from South Africa, and other places. So from Crypto University, what we have done, we say, look, we'll take it upon ourselves to train 5,000, to start with 5,000 Zambians to get online and start becoming self-employed, because CGU was doing this in Zambia, but they were giving them games. When play to earn was a big thing, they bought a bunch of NFTs, they left them there, and they gave them to the young people, and then they would play and earn an income. But that eventually filled out because the play to earn thing is kind of going to an end now, right? So now we're saying, look, just giving them the game is still making people more dependent, because they would be like, tomorrow, what game is there today? So I was like, no, let's teach them how to hustle online. Give them the tools, learn AI, learn how to mint your own NFTs. Like all these Americans, Brits, they mint stupid NFT projects like a number. It's an NFT, and they'll make $6 million. There is no legal requirement to do it. You don't need any advanced skill to do it. You just basically create an NFT, put it on the marketplace, market it. Either people are going to buy or not. Only us Africans are not doing it, right? So we're trying to challenge that mentality and say, look, let's train a bunch of young people in Zambia, and then we can empower them enough that they can go out there and start doing those things. We also worked with the Women's Museum. We're very close to it. And we're saying when we train these young people to mint NFTs and to create their own project, they're now going to create, they already created like a virtual 3D museum of the Women's Museum in Zambia. And now when we teach them NFTs, they'll be able to put onto the metaverse or different metaverses and mint NFTs based on these artifacts that Zambia have. So in a nutshell, that's what we're doing over there, man.
Okay.
Yeah.
Why do you think the Zambian government is receptive and opening up to things like blockchain? I know, I think a lot of countries or governments try to run away from blockchain because we know they want to be in control of the money and whatnot. What's so special about Zambia and trying to open up?
I think it just depends on who is in power. If they actually have some kind of idea of what's going on, and they have seen an opportunity, and they're also executing. They have seen that this is the way to go. So I can't really explain it because the way governments work is so weird. Yeah. It's kind of counterintuitive to everything. And it also makes people like the Ethereum Foundation, for example, in other projects like it's so difficult to make progress with government So a lot of builders basically stay away, especially if you don't need their money, right? Usually the governments work well with people who need money. And a lot of these projects, they can print their own money in this crypto thing, right? So it just depends. I think if the government is showing real interest in getting something done and it costs them nothing, I mean, the people will come and build it. So that's what I seen, that these guys were really enthusiastic. They want to digitize the economy as well. And they want to use blockchain because they know now that it's the best technology for that. And that was, I think, the whole point behind it.
Right.
Yeah, but mainly also I saw a lot of young people involved in Zambia when it comes to this kind of like super young, like young lawyers, young people in government. So I think they have been playing around with crypto online and they know what's up. They're like, oh, look, we need to be on this path. Yeah, and I've been to many countries where we've met some government officials. And in most countries, like you talk to them, they basically have no idea what you're talking about. Zambia is very different when it comes to that.
I was actually thinking, like, some of these things when you talk to like people that are in power here, like there's a minister of finance and whatnot, they even understand what this conversation is about.
But you see, Dennis, there's an opportunity. Podcast Malawi, Crypto Invest. There's a partnership there. Can be scaled for us to create a community that can also leverage to trainings like this.
Yeah.
At a particular offering.
Yeah.
That would work. Because if they're training 5,000 Zambians, come on, these are our neighbors.
And they'll be like bidding us at our own coach help on the other side, when we could also be like exploring and see how many young Malawians can get into there. And it's just Zambia. It's just a hour's drive. You're in there and you go there to drink. People go to Zambia to drink and come back the next day.
Yeah.
Something that as important as learning, investing, and learning all these skills using AI and whatnot that these guys are doing, something that we could like look at ways of how to get.
I think it's just an issue of us doing it.
Right, 100%.
Let's build a community through the podcast of people, because these are young people that mostly watch this podcast. Most of them are not working. Some of them are working, are looking forward to save themselves from the misery of the economy. And this is one of the ways. It's a skill. We're talking about a skill that they'll have, right?
Yeah.
And if they have added AI as part of the offering, look at that.
It's a big thing. It's a big thing.
At that. So
what can you do with AI? There's like everything. You can actually set up a whole office on your PC, working for multiple companies in a day, and you're delivering on all fronts.
So we'll recruit people.
Yeah, let's do it.
With your company and your blessings.
We can actually set up and see how to get them into the system.
And properly get them through properly.
I can promise you, if you join Crypto University right now, within 2 months, you're not going to call yourself unemployed anymore. You cannot say, oh, I'm unemployed. Oh, I got a degree and all that, that nonsense that people talk about. Like, if you know what to do, there is no unemployment. That is just a fallacy. But if your understanding of employment is getting some company to employ you for the next 15 years, then you're basically lost in time. Because you can make as much money as possible online on your own than relying on some kind of long-term job. So that is the mentality that we're trying to challenge, right?
Absolutely.
Because if we are relying on those kind of models, that's when we give so much power to government to be like, oh, what are you gonna do? Create more jobs, but then that's not even their job, right? So you can live in a bad economy. That's perfectly fine. But you just shouldn't depend on it. That's the thing that we're trying to.
There's a crazy idea. The podcast is computerizing right now. I know we're going to the end, but quickly. So what we're gonna do, we're starting podcasting, but outside. So we'll be going in the malls. We'll be going to the festivals, and we'll set up the podcast and talk to random people about different things. And one of the thematic area we'll focus is unemployment and issues to do with money. And this is it. We'll get someone there, we'll talk to people, and then we'll recruit from there.
Yes.
We'll tell people the truth around what is happening, and then we'll signpost them to most of it, because this is the resource.
Yes.
This conversion is a resource.
Right.
And we'll signpost them, but we will bring that kind of thing through that. We believe it's a matter of changing one person at a time.
Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, look, but what do you think is going on? Like, people get degrees and then they stay home. They say they don't have a job.
No, it's crazy.
Isn't that a scam? I mean, let's be real.
Great.
Isn't that a scam, though?
Talking to you, I've actually just gone and reminded myself of a friend of mine. he does crypto. I know he does a lot of NFTs. You know him, like this kid, Sawa. We were talking about NFTs and whatnot. Like, he's a kid. He's like 17, 18.
Yeah.
And he's always like in his room. He's just put his computers and whatnot. And he makes money. He goes out. The first time, so they tell you, like, when you make your first money, when he made his first, I think was it about 18, 19 million. He was like, I need to go cash 90 million. Telling his mom, he was like, why? What's that? Like, no, we know you're always there. You buy all these things, computers and whatnot. You make little money here and there, but what's that 90 million? And everybody didn't believe until they went and he cashed 90 million. Like, what's that? He was like, no, he saw that NFT, right?
NFT.
Yeah, there you go. There you go, man. It's out there and if you want it.
I'm thinking, like, what are we doing? Because I've seen this and it's like, it's money he made in 25.
Yeah.
And 25, I think.
We hustle, bro. We don't play. We don't play. And also for people to know out there, the Crypto University is licensed in the UAE, in Dubai, to basically give certificates. Wow. So if you're the type of person who say, oh, but what about the certificate? Yeah. Okay, you can get it if you want to. So it's basically just up to you. And if you learn this skill, bro, like if you learn how to exploit the digital revolution, you can live anywhere in the world. You don't have to live in one place. You take your work with you. You can go anywhere you want. You don't have to worry about, oh, I need to be there, or I need to be there. So this is the type of freedom that most young people right now want. They want to see the world. They want to travel. But the odd opportunities basically are attaching you to one geographic location, right? But you can have multiple residences, multiple countries. You can buy multiple passports. It doesn't matter anymore. And you can actually be, I know some people even in Malawi now, they have their Dubai residences on paper and then they get their money wired there. It means there's zero tax, but they live here.
Elsewhere.
They just have to make sure that, here you have to spend a couple of amount of days to be considered a tax resident here. Yeah. And also in South Africa is the same. So that's why you see a lot of people just travel too much. They don't want to stay too long in one place because of things like that. But like, again, most people do not know things like this. Like, we just never learn it.
Absolutely.
They don't know how to cheat the system. Not really to cheat, but to play. It's like tax. Who pays the most tax? Doctors, lawyers, people who have like the normal, formal, go to school, get a job kind of system. The people who are hustlers, they know how to create a company and then use that company as leverage to not pay as a high tax rate, right? Yeah. Wow. So
before we end, I know this is so much excitement. Before we end, I'll have to ask you about Andrew Tate.
Yeah.
What is happening to him?
Man, it's so hard to, the truth about it, personally, I think I don't really know what's going on. I think it's a mixture of there's something solid that he did. And then there's also a mixture of how people feel about him. And I think those ones are going in tandem and it looks like it's not going to end that well for him because there's a lot of people in power that are coming for him. Like there are certain things that he was talking about, like the PhD program, or where he was actually talking about the trafficking or not really trafficking, maybe he was just talking about how to get women work for him. I think he was just playing in a territory that is so sensitive. Like even right now as a guy, you have to be careful when you're interacting with women because anything can be turned against you, right? Yeah. So you have to be careful, like, you know the deal. But for him, he was actually running a business with women and in a industry that is sexually exploitive. So I don't know what's going to happen. I just hope that, he prevails. But yeah, it doesn't look good, man. It doesn't look good. However, I think it shows that there's a gap in our society why people like him became so famous. There's a reason. It means that something is missing in society. So a lot of people are looking for an answer.
Okay.
I mean, if you look at it now, I'm in Malawi. I'm like, what the hell, bro? Like, the women here are doing so well. And I seen that when I was in Nigeria, I saw the same trend. They're actually beating the guys. The guys are still watching football. They're getting drunk games. And all that shit. Exactly. They're playing PlayStation 5, But the women are just more focused. So I think there is a feeling that a lot of guys are feeling that they're being beat in the fucking system. But I think that it's just like, because life right now is so easier than it was before. And women were not allowed to compete in the economy. And now they can. And for you to beat them, you basically have to be in your best game. Back in the day, I was like, oh, fireman, it's only men. So the competition was lower. Now you have to compete, and most guys are just weak, and then they can't compete, and they hate women now. So it is crazy. It is crazy.
Okay, cool. No, this has been a very, very exciting conversation.
There's a lot of learning here.
Yeah. I think there's so much that I've learned, and I hope like everybody who's watching this is also going to learn a lot. I'm gonna go on a very, very light, fun,
Sure.
ending. I know we talked about you being in Malawi and whatnot,
Yeah.
and you've proved it, but I want you to prove what you know about Malawi. I just want to
Okay.
see what you still remember about Malawi. So there's a game that I've been working on. It's called Around Malawi in 60 seconds. So you've got 60 seconds. I'll be giving you clues
Sure.
of people, places, and anything. And in 60 seconds, all you do is give me an answer, and let's see how many you get correct.
Yeah.
In 60 seconds. Okay?
To the timer.
Stop. Yeah, timer.
Cool. Let's do timer.
Okay?
A minute.
A minute, yeah.
Okay.
Start.
Okay. It used to be a very big band back in the days from Malaga.
Lucius Banda,
A band.
a band, Zambani.
Before Zimbani.
I don't know about that one.
Okay. It's a real band. He's one of the biggest Afro-Malawian artists currently.
Currently, I don't know much.
Currently. Based in Blantyre. Used to belong to a group called Njuji Start.
No, man. Okay. Is that Blackafella?
No. Ella Njuji. Okay. It's a traditional dance, very popular in the north. And it's connected to spirits.
Vimbuza.
Vimbuza, correct?
Yeah.
7 to go. He had a silky voice. Used to sing reggae raga. Oh, sorry. We're done. How many did you get?
Oh man, this is not my fault, bro. He is slow. His reading is slower. It's taking you 20 seconds to read the question.
Okay, cool. So I think this game is basically good for like 2 people, and they're like playing against another team.
Right,
so because it also plays when the other person is trying to give the clue. So
Yeah.
But hey, great.
Cheers,
It's been
bro.
a pleasure catching up with you, and I look forward to more partnerships and working together and men on these important things, bro.
Yeah, for sure. Look, I'm always in Dubai. I'm always somewhere in the world. If you guys happen
No,
to
we'll
be
catch
there.
up in Dubai this year later. I think we're going to have a retreat for the podcast in Dubai.
Yeah. Sounds good, bro. That's the real deal. Okay. So we see you guys out there, you know. Now I like to meet people from the motherland whenever I'm out there. So if you happen to be in the ends, I'll show you around and all that stuff. Just let me know. For sure.
Oh, thank you so much to everybody who's been tuning in and following this amazing conversation with the great Jabesi on everything crypto, NFT. And like I said, like we have been talking here, if you want to learn about investing in cryptos and all these NFTs and currencies, please make sure you sign up on cryptouniversity.network. Sign up and learn how to trade. You'll find the link to the site in the description of this podcast. I've been your host, Dennis Imani, as always, and I'll see you next time. Until then, remember to subscribe, hit notification bell, and peace. We're out.
Cheers, guys.